Hi, welcome to another demonstration exam in the Matura Express English team. And today we're going to talk about health and nutrition, and stay tuned. Perfect. Okay, so this is our exam for today, health and nutrition. Last week we talked about difficulties and taking initiative in the dialogue. So we'll pay special attention to that. But nonetheless, this is what we're going to be talking about today. It's health and nutrition, and it's fighting the waste. The introduction stays the same. It's some questions about your career, future plans, and so on. Then the role play starts, and you are working for Food Watch, and you have been asked to give a talk about nutrition in our society for students in a health seminar at the University of Innsbruck, which are the examiners. Then you give a talk to the audience about society and nutrition, and you talk about what is nutrition, what does that mean, then why is that an important topic, not just for ourselves, but why is that a topic for the society? And then how nutrition is currently dealt with in society, what is talked about, what are problems, are people aware of it or not, something like that, okay? And then you or Chris will lead over to task 2. The role play continues. We're gonna talk about fighting the waste, and it's that you open up the discussion to questions about the role of food waste from the audience. That is me, and you have the attached text 10 ways to fight food waste, and you see the link here, down here, okay? And then afterwards it's a follow-up discussion where you step out of your role, where you finish with your role, where you're not working for Food Watch anymore, but you are yourself. And then we're just gonna, we're not talking about product placement and influences, but we're gonna talk about nutrition and health. Thanks for paying attention. Okay, good. So, you ready? You wanna start?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. So welcome, Chris, to your Matura exam. And why don't we start talking about your career so far? Where did you go to school? Yeah. What have you done so far?
Well, I went to school in Zillertal, which is a very, very small valley in Tirol. Went there to school. Then I went to my secondary school. I started doing my secondary school in Innsbruck, in Reitmann Gymnasium. But then I quit because I wanted to become a mechanic.
Okay.
And then I started doing being a mechanic for about 5 years, and then a friend of mine told me about this thing called the A-levels, which I can take at the WeFi, and I thought that I want to try it out. And since I really wanted to, my whole life actually wanted to become a teacher.
Okay.
But my parents didn't want me to do so. Yeah.
They told you do something real, do something with your hands.
Yeah.
Okay.
So earn money and not just study at the university.
Okay.
But then I want to realize this dream, and before I can realize this dream, of course, I have to take the A-levels.
Okay, and then when you think of becoming a teacher, do you want to continue staying in the field of mechanics, or do you want to change that completely and just get away from it because it's bad memory or whatever?
Yeah, actually, I want to start my studies about geography and English.
Okay. And so it's going to be a complete new start, like you start from scratch. Okay.
Complete new field. So
okay. Well, the best of luck for that. And
thank you.
Whenever you feel ready, you may start with your talk with task 1. Okay.
Okay. So hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris. I'm an expert. I'm with the company Foodwatch, and today I'm gonna explain to you several points, including what is nutrition, why is nutrition such an important topic for society.
Sorry, ein Mikro kracht. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, but it says in the chat. Can we?
That could be yours, I think.
Okay.
Is it better now? Or maybe yours?
Mine? Just tell us if it gets better or worse. Thanks for the comment. Sorry,
Thanks.
I really didn't want to interrupt you, but...
I'm gonna talk about nutrition. So, why nutrition is important for our society today, and how is nutrition dealt in our society today. So, nutrition is basically the food we consume in order to fuel our bodies. Therefore, it's really important that we pay attention okay, thank you.
Sorry.
What is good for our bodies and what is not so good for our bodies. Therefore, nutrition is a very, very important topic. For example, nutrition is really important if you're doing sports. If you don't do sports, it's even more important, because if you're just sitting the whole day and you're eating the wrong things, for example, too much calories a day, it will affect your body. And maybe if you're young, it won't affect your body that much, but if you grow older, you will recognize that certain diseases or your body weight increases, and therefore it's really important to keep track on what we're eating and how we fuel our body. And I think in today's society, nutrition has some kind of importance, especially when we talk about the fitness trend that is going on right now. Everyone does some kind of body weight training or goes to the gym or tries to eat healthy food that is claimed as being healthy by the companies, such as smoothies that have a lot of sugar in it, or healthy orange juice that has never seen actually an orange in the juice. And therefore it is important in my job to make people aware of what we consume and what we should not consume, especially when it comes to the ingredients in products. Yeah, and therefore I also want to start to talk about fighting the waste. And fighting the waste is actually, food waste has become such a big issue nowadays. And for example, I live near a Spar, a grocery market, and there are a lot of products that get simply thrown away, especially vegetables like paprika, bananas, even bread, of course. And of course, it has a lot to do with the law in Austria. So we have especially in Austria, we have laws that require grocery stores and similar companies to throw food away. So if it's the best before date, and at the best before date, you're not allowed to sell it anymore after the best before date. Sorry, not before, but the best before date.
Okay.
They have to throw it away, of course, and even in Austria, not seen as internationally. Even in Austria, we have a huge problem with food waste, and of course, a huge problem with poor families. We have a lot of families in Austria that need food and that are not able to buy that much food actually to nourish their families.
Okay.
And yeah, therefore it's really important to save waste, food waste, even when we consider buying food. So we always should be certain what do we have in our fridges.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for your talk.
Okay.
Let's stick to the topic of fighting the waste. I do have a question for you as food watch worker. I think it was in France where they established the law that if food is over the best before date, then they are not allowed to throw it away, but they have to put it like in the refrigerators, in boxes, and they have to give it away for free. Do you think that's a good idea?
Yes. When I first read an article on this exact topic, I thought that's one of the best ideas to fight food waste. Because I think in Austria it's even prohibited to go dumpstering, and I've never understood it because it's the best solution is to give the food away and actually to give this food access, kind of free access for this food, and give it to homeless people or other people in need. I think this is a really, really great law or requirement.
And do you also think that our food industry kind of like creates the problem of waste because there is so much you can buy, and then there is it gets cheaper here and cheaper there, and then it's like the 2-for-1 situations, and is that a problem as well, do you think, or not?
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest problem is that we as consumers have certain requirements, or we want certain products, we want several different types of apples, and I think we don't need that actually. But of course, if the consumer wants certain things, companies adjust to it and produce it, and they even overproduce stuff.
Okay.
They tend to overproduce everything, and there's just a lot of waste that is created because no consumer or no country can eat that much food.
Okay. And is there one last tip you may have for us as listeners? Just 1 or 2 tips that we can integrate in our everyday life that is very easy to stop wasting food. Is there anything you can think of?
I think one of the most important advices I can give is that you have to be certain what is in your fridge. Take a look in your fridge, make a list, and then keep this list on your mobile phone. And then if the next time you go shopping in the supermarket, grocery store, you can just look on that list and then you can see what you have to buy or not.
Okay.
And don't be like, oh, we need this, and then if it's too much, you have to throw it away.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Just
Okay.
be aware.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So let's step out of the role play and let's go on with the follow-up discussion. And you brought up as a food watch worker the topic of dumpster diving. Do you actually have friends who do that? Please don't call them by name.
Yeah.
Or do you know people?
I know
who do that?
people.
Okay,
I know people, but it doesn't have to do with them that they're poor or don't earn that much money. They're just aware that there is food thrown away. So I know a supermarket that throws away a lot of bread.
Okay.
And a friend of mine told me that it's, I don't know on which day, you can just go to the dumpster and you will see a whole lot of bread in there and just take it out.
Yeah.
Because even if the bread is like really hard, you can still make like dumplings or anything out of it.
Yes.
So there's no problem with it. So that's totally fine.
And do you think companies or shops should be held responsible for what they're wasting, for what they're throwing away, and maybe have to come up with a creative solution how to stop that? Or is that not their responsibility?
Yeah, I think supermarkets shouldn't be like taken. I forgot the word.
It's okay.
Yeah, I think that it should be required by law, not a specific supermarket brand, because then the brand or the supermarket company can decide whether or not to make such things like reusing bread in a creative, I don't know how, but in creative field. And I think there has to be the attitude from the people, from the consumers, because if they're like, oh, that's old bread, we won't eat that.
That's even when you go to the supermarkets and then you see there's always this little shelf with like bread from yesterday or something, and then people just pass by. In the town where I went to university, they had a whole store that was called like bread from yesterday or good stuff from yesterday, and there you could go, and it was so cheap, but it was so good still because it's just a day old. Yeah. I think that was a really great idea. Would you go, hypothetically speaking, would you go dumpster diving?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Yeah. And would you be afraid of being caught or something?
No, no, actually not. Okay. So if I were to be caught, it's like, yeah, that's food that was thrown away. Yeah. So.
Okay.
So what?
And then you brought up the topic of poor families who can't afford like food or good food. Do you think there could be a solution between like stop wasting and also supporting these families?
Yeah, I think there could be a solution that supermarkets. I think I'm always thinking about the French model because it's so.
I think it's great.
So
as well.
Cool, yeah. That supermarkets start to saving their food they can't sell anymore. And for example, in Innsbruck there is I can't remember what it's called. It's mainly a truck driving through the city, and at several places to stop, or stops on several places. And then people can go there, and it's normally people that don't have that much money, and supermarkets could like form together and create this kind of trucks that serve the poor people.
Okay, Isn't there also like a fridge in the market hall where you can put like, I only heard about it, where you can put like stuff that is left over, and then anybody else who goes by can take it out. Have you heard of that?
I think it does make sense, because near the Markthalle there is normally the truck stopping too, that serves hot food actually. But I think
like a soup kitchen on wheels.
On wheels, yeah.
Okay.
I think it makes sense, yeah.
But do you think that is a good concept, or do you think it's gonna end up like that there's too much stuff going bad in the fridge and nobody cleans it and something like that?
No, I don't think so. I think if it's really, it needs some kind of awareness of food, so value food and value things that are, that helps us to fuel our bodies, and then I think there is no I think that will work just fine. It's no problem, I think.
Well, thank you for the exam.
Welcome.
And then and then let's have a quick feedback on that. And so introduction was fine. That was also very interesting, because it's the first time we have someone who completely wants to change their plans, and that's always a good catch up to ask questions for us, the examiners. And then Chris was working for Foodwatch, and he. If you compare Chris to Dominic, maybe, Chris is not like the fastest talker, but that is fine. That doesn't make a difference, just to mention that, that you're not wondering. Because he went through all the bullet points here and had interesting thoughts and advices also. Then we had Fighting the Waste. We kind of jumped right into that topic, and then we talked about dumpster diving that Chris brought up, and also he mentioned the poor families, and had also 2 advices on what we could do as consumers, and it was quite informative and went along really well. In the follow-up discussion, I don't know if you noticed, but there was twice the situation where Chris was searching for a word in his hand, not in his hand, but in his head, and couldn't think of it, but he said that, okay? And that's what I mentioned last week. Don't go silent and say nothing, go like, but say it, yeah? Just say, oh, I forgot the word, I'm gonna go around it, I'm gonna describe it, and that, because then we as the examiners know, okay, that's a problem right there, maybe I can help him with the question, maybe I can guess what the word is he's searching for, and then we'll jump in. But that was the perfect solution for when something like that happens, okay? So very good example there. Then that's it. I have to say to the exam, if you have any questions or any comments, just write it in the live chat, and then we'll get back to that. Other than that, I will go on with the next exam, and that's about recent trends. Obviously, recent trends in health and nutrition and food. So the introduction stays the same, and this time in the role play, you are a dietitian, and you have been asked to hold a seminar for students on the importance of a healthy nutrition. And you give a brief presentation about a healthy diet. So diet does not mean the German word diet, just for so that you don't get mixed up. Diet just means your everyday eating habit. So you first define health and nutrition and how they go along, and then you say why it is important to pay attention to healthy nutrition, and then you talk about the advantages and disadvantages of integrating a healthy nutrition in your everyday life. So why is that, does that go well? Where is it maybe difficult? Where does it not go at all? Where do you maybe need to eat unhealthy or whatever? Yeah, that's advantages and disadvantages. And then afterwards, you open up the discussion by asking, do you have any questions or another phrase. And then we'll talk about recent trends in food and nutrition. And we have the wonderful article that's called Avo Latte. Hipster cafes serve lattes in avocados. And that's not a joke. So if you're really interested, the link is down here. It's from The Independent. And then afterwards we'll move on. We'll leave the role play and then we'll move on to the follow-up discussion and talk. Here again. Sorry, we're going to talk about health and nutrition and not advertising. Okay, I'm sorry for that. So yes, that's it. So same game as before. You ready?
Yes.
Cool. Okay. So welcome back, Chris, to your Matura exam. Sorry that you have to take it again. No, just joking. So let's start with you introducing yourself and maybe just tell us about why you're taking the A-levels.
Mm-hmm. So my name is Tobias.
Sorry, Tobias, yeah.
Yeah, just to start.
Okay.
I'm Tobias. And I went to school in Innsbruck.
Yeah.
I started off with my secondary school education. Actually, was an HTL. It's called in Austria, which is I started as a mechanical engineer. So it's just a training. I started the school and then I decided to quit and become a hairdresser. And then I started doing my hairdressing thing for 3.
Your training, yeah?
Yeah, my training, exactly. My training, and then I suddenly wasn't really satisfied anymore with my job. And then I decided to do the A-levels in order to become a history professor.
That is quite a CV. It's very interesting. What made you decide to stop being a mechanical engineer and become a hairdresser? That's quite a change.
Yeah, that's a lot of people ask me this, of course. Yeah. Well, I've always been interested in dressing hair.
Okay.
Like it's just, I don't know why. As a kid, it was like a thing.
So did you play hairdresser with puppets and dolls? Okay,
yeah,
good.
Exactly.
But how then did you come up with the idea to becoming a mechanical engineer?
That's really easy to answer. Okay. My parents, of course.
Okay, I see. So now you are a mechanical engineer who can also dress hair very nicely, and now you're interested in history. How does that?
I had a lot of customers when I was a hairdresser, from the University of Innsbruck, from the history department. Yeah. Exactly, and I always like to talk with them about history and what they're doing right now, which research, and if they have any literature for me. And I also started to do some research for myself. So like old stuff like from World War II and things, documents. I was always interested in that. So it was just a hobby at first, but it's now. So
we can definitely note down that you're a person who loves change.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, so I'm happy you can live out that change. And whenever you're ready, please start with task 1. And start with your talk as a dietitian.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
So my name is Toby, as I already said, and today I'm going to explain to you or talk to you about healthy nutrition. And I am a dietitian, so I've been a dietitian for 5 years now, and today, as I've already mentioned, we're gonna discuss the topic how to pursue a healthy diet and to what the term healthy nutrition means. So at first I'm gonna give you a definition of health and nutrition.
Yes.
Well, how do we define health? It's really difficult to define this term actually, because everyone perceives health or being healthy differently. But if it comes to diseases or something like this, we are certain that, of course, diseases like cancer or even obesity or something is not beneficial for our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So a healthy person is a person that can live without having any obstacles actually.
Okay.
So obstacles like if you're doing sports and it's really hard to do it, or if you have other problems that are not really beneficial for you.
Okay.
And of course nutrition is something we need to fuel our bodies. Different food we eat every day fuels our bodies differently, of course. But I'm gonna talk about this later.
Okay, good.
Now, why is it so important to pay attention to healthy nutrition? To a healthy nutrition. That's because, for example, there are two types of fats. There are unsaturated and saturated fats. If we eat a lot of the saturated fats, it won't be that good for our body.
Mm-hmm.
But it always depends of the amount of the fats, of course.
Yeah.
So if we have, for example, if we're eating a lot of pizza or something like, normally there are unsaturated fats in there. The same comes with healthy and unhealthy fats. There are also, like, if we have an avocado, there are good fats in there. But always people are always kind of saying that avocado has that much calorie, but that's not actually the important thing. It's important how you create your diet actually.
Okay.
And by creating your diet, I mean with which macronutrients you use, like proteins, carbohydrates, and fats.
Okay.
It's all about the quality of these macronutrients, actually. And the disadvantages and advantages are, of course, let's start with the disadvantages. All of us like pizza and döner and what else? Anything else? Ice cream. But of course we have to balance everything. It's no good to eat a lot of pizza and stuff, but it's also not good to just eat healthy and then you have a craving for something like pizza, and you then start to eating a lot of pizza.
Yeah, okay.
So I think it's important to also integrate sometimes meals like pizza or döner or yeah. Okay, and what I really found interesting.
Yes.
I read an article.
Okay.
Basically, which there was a restaurant.
Yeah.
That served cafe latte in an avocado, and that struck my mind. It's kind of something that combines all the new trends, food trends nowadays, I think, and it's a great thing actually to create something like this, like veganism or vegetarianism.
Okay. And may I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and do you think that the recent trends we saw, were they good trends, like all these superfood thingy and so on? Do you think it's a good thing that we have new trends, or is that sometimes dangerous because it's not a good trend or not a healthy trend?
Yeah, all the superfoods, I think, the trend is not that bad considering the consumer. For example, if we have like chia semen, like they're really good in concerning their fats, but of course they shouldn't be overused. So maybe the disadvantages with this is, for example, that people start overusing it and it's just eating this because they want to become healthy or something. Yeah. But we should still keep in mind that a balanced diet is really important.
And have you, as a dietitian, seen recent trends where you think that is such nonsense, that is bollocks, please don't go with that flow?
I think all the smoothie trend, basically. So if you're going in the grocery market, it's like you have a lot of smoothies to pick from, and you can't even decide which one you want to have. And I always say to my clients that it's easy to make your own smoothie. Just buy frozen berries, a banana or an apple, or even carrot or other vegetables, and mix them together. And then just add milk or water, and then you have a perfectly fine smoothie too. Okay. And then I think those smoothies, it's just a marketing strategy of bigger companies. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your talk. Let's step out of the role play and talk a bit about health and nutrition. Are you a person who likes new trends in food, who likes to try them out? Like, what have we had recently? Like the paleo stuff where I don't even know, where you don't cook. No.
Yeah, it's like
I don't even know.
Cooking like from the first people did actually. It's just meat, so very basic ingredients like meat, vegetables, only certain vegetables.
I think nuts, is it?
Yeah, nuts.
Nuts and seeds and stuff.
Nuts and seeds.
But no flour and stuff like that. Isn't it that? Yeah, okay, good. Yeah. So are you a person who's really interested in and says, oh, I need to try that?
Well, I've tried, or I did, low carb for some time, I think 3 or 4 months. And it wasn't actually not that bad. And I completely cut out gluten. Okay. But I realized if you don't have like a problem with gluten, so that causes any allergic reaction, it doesn't matter actually. Okay. Yeah. But I think always those like trends, like food or diet trends, that's like none of these trends actually were created to support people over a few years. It's just like, do this and you will lose weight. It's always the aspect of losing weight. That's the goal actually. But if people then lose weight and quit all the like paleo, for example, or not, then it doesn't work anymore. So it should, all those trends should at first say that you should change your intake, your nutrition, and just to live with it forever, basically. It has to be something that you can live with
So
for your whole life.
That it's like effective in a long-term sense.
Yeah,
kind of. Okay.
Exactly.
And do you think that with our changing lifestyles, like you work at different places, you work different hours, you have to go from here to there, do you think it's easy to follow a healthy diet, or do you find it personally difficult?
I think it's very difficult. Even in a city like Innsbruck, you have a lot of restaurants, of course, but you also have a lot of restaurants, considering that you maybe have half an hour of your lunch break. You have to get food fast. So there are, of course, a few restaurants or fast food shops or companies, basically, that sell good food, but there are not that much, actually.
Okay.
So I think if you have a specific diet, it's quite complicated to follow it through and through every day.
Yeah. Do you think all these food trends are very hyped, like in industrialized countries, and wouldn't be thought about twice in less developed countries?
Yeah, I think those food trends have a lot to do with making money out of certain things that are suddenly healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always, if you're like on social network
Mm-hmm.
or something, you can really follow certain trends, and suddenly a new trend appears.
Yeah.
And then it's something that has been cool and healthy before is suddenly really bad for you.
Yeah.
So it's of course like we talked before about the superfoods and all the stuff. It's really supported by bigger companies.
Okay.
So it's all about the money.
Okay. That's a well thought and said last words.
Yeah.
And let's close the exam with that. And then let's just have a quick run through the exam. Really interesting introduction about Tobias' CV. That was quite fun. The dietitian talk had it all what was asked for, a definition of health and nutrition. Also, it was quite good that Chris said it's quite difficult to define that part, health, and what is meant by health, but then he kind of like told us what part of health he means, and then define that, okay? And you can very well do that. So if you look at the exam, you know what kind of definition you need. So you don't have, for instance, another topic, if you have to define globalization, I mean, that's a concept that is like huge. So look through the exam and see what the exam is getting at, and then just define that part of it that you will be talking about. Say that the definition might be bigger than what you're talking about, but that for this and that reason you will define only that part because it makes sense in that situation, okay? And then you are kind of safe. Also, he talked about what is important and why it is important to pay attention, and then advantages and disadvantages. And then we had a talk about the Avo Latte and the recent trends in food. And he had a clear opinion on that and different ideas and could answer every question. And then the follow-up discussion, we talked about, I forgot, what was that? Also about trends and do they make sense or not, and so on. And that was also well done. So I don't have anything to criticize really. So no, that's it for today. And then next week it's you or Dominic?
Dominic.
Oh, so
On Monday.
okay, sorry. Thank you for your feedback, Christine.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Dominic is on
Monday.
On Monday, and next Wednesday
It's me.
it's Chris, okay, doing the live stream. This was my last live stream, so you won't see me again. Yes, but you have very very nice substitutes. Okay, so we're done for today. They will see you next week, so tune in again and have fun until then. Bye.